everyone. Welcome to At Home with Sally. I'm Sally Clarkson, and I have the biggest privilege in the world to be with so many friends from all over the world who join me every week to listen to my stories, inspiration, biblical encouragement, and I am just so glad that you're here today. Thanks so much for joining me. Hello, my friends. It's Sally Clarkson. Welcome to Tea Time Tuesdays, one of my favorite things that I do every week because I get to think about what books I've been reading, what things have been going on in my life, what thoughts I've had, and it makes me go on a treasure hunt during the week so that I'll actually have something to tell you when I come to Tea Time Tuesday. But I hope that all of you are doing well and that you're having a good week. I've had kind of a really fun week, and I know that some of you can identify with this. I did a podcast on seasons that is going to come out tomorrow. It's just it's not a long podcast. It's a podcast about how God has preordained seasons in our lives, and we can look at nature to learn a little bit about it. So you'll hear more about that. But as I was thinking about this, I was realizing that the Lord has really made me somebody who cultivates my seasons. I plan things into my life so that it will be fuller than it could have been. I plan commitments. I plan rhythms. I plan pleasures. I plan meals. And because since Clay and I have moved many times over the years, and now at the moment I am here in the UK, and I spend a lot of my time encouraging, taking care of other people, and inspiring them. They're all my friends. They actually do so much for me just being with them. But what I mean is I'm kind of responsible for my kids, my grandkids, my Bible studies, my whatever else. And so I have to put rhythms into my life to be sure that I'm taking care of myself in a way that would fill myself up. Because there's nobody else who's really responsible to do that. And Clay is not here right now. And my children are overwhelmingly committed to their responsibilities. And so I kind of want to talk a little bit about that because one of the main things I've gotten out of my several weeks of Bible study with my precious women here is they are so dear to me. At first they're just a face of somebody you don't know, and then you start hearing their story, and you begin developing a heart for one another. And I want to emphasize this. I want you all to help me. I want us to start a movement, a continual movement. We started 1 year ago. It's still growing, but we want it to grow again. A movement of women who are inviting other people into their homes, their lives, their community, so that women can thrive longer. Every single article I've been reading lately talks about how having community, friendship, encouragement, a person to talk with, a real live person, helps put away stress. It develops health. It develops a sense of well-being. It gives a foundation for someone to thrive in other areas of life like work and parenting and other things. And so I thought, I really want to be an encouragement in this space, Tea Time Tuesday, to help all of you ponder, is there even one person? And it might be your teenager, or it might be your next door neighbor, it might be your mother, it might be your husband. Is there one person you could make time with this week to make a little cup of tea, light a candle, and be of encouragement, of friendship to them? So I'll be talking about that more as we go, but I do feel like that us reaching out to someone else with the light and goodness that our heart intends is going to be one of the most profound ways, giving that cup of water to someone that Christ used us in our busy lives. And that's why I always would make time for my children to have individual cups of tea with me. It was an event that said, we are going to stop for as few minutes as it takes to sip a sweet little cup of tea or hot chocolate or cider or coffee or whatever. And we're going to document a few moments together because you matter to me. And so I'm going to read to you a little bit of October, Life Giving Home, because it has to do with that. But anyway, I had really a fun time this week. I cherish the time that I have with my children because I'm not sure that I'll get to be over here with them, and I miss having Keely and Nathan with me. So every time I get to be with my children, I try to treasure it. I try to make opportunities to do things together that will encourage them. I have breakfast with at least one child a week regularly just to unwind and unpack our relationship. And then I try every once in a while to take my children out for dinner because they're my adult friends. And that's what I do with friends. I reach out to them because I love them. And so I was with one of my wonderful children. We had walked about 2 miles out to a pub, not too far from where we live. And it's beautiful along the way. It was through all these splashy puddles because it has been raining a lot. And oh my goodness, I might someday this week just put up a bunch of pictures from it. The leaves, the clouds, the sun setting, the vibrant colors was just a feast of pleasure for us to have taken that time after a few difficult things had been transpiring in our own personal lives. There's always something going on with someone that we love, isn't there? But anyway, as we were coming home, oftentimes we just split something instead of making life expensive. But that's better for me calorie-wise too, then I can just eat more often because I'm taking in less calories. But anyway, when we walked home, it was absolutely dark, and I have to be careful because I'm blind in one eye and I have to watch out for my hip not to hit that hole that I fall in. And so we were walking under the stars, I holding their arm. But it was so gorgeous. I felt like a little girl again. As we were walking, we saw the swans and the ducks all congregating. About 100 of them had gotten really close to each other, and you could hear the bark, bark, all these different sounds. The breeze was very gently blowing. Stars were shining. The city lights were twinkling. And it was just such a wonderful 25-minute memory. But we have made times like this, many hundreds of times like this, and it has comforted, knit our hearts together, and helped us during times of difficulty to kind of brush away some of the darkness and feast on light. So I would encourage you to do that this week. You might just sit out under the stars on your porch or in your yard or in a field near you and sip some hot chocolate or cider. You might, just like my family did, we would regularly, in about 6 months out of the year, take either before or after dinner a walk around a couple of blocks or a walk over by the lake near our house in Colorado. And so anyway, I just would encourage you to do that. Now, before I go on and read a little excerpt from my book, The Life Giving Home, I wanted to tell you what I've been thinking about this week. Actually, one of my, Sarah and I were talking about this. One of the things that I want to keep doing is having more people over, but I'm not as energetic as I used to be in that I'm working 2 jobs right now. I work at church, I'm working on my books and my podcasts and my blogs and all these other things. And so it has to be easy when I have a crowd. And one of the easiest things that I do is I call it either a nacho train or taco bowls. And so what I do is I sometimes lately I order from Amazon some paper plates. I don't always do that because I'm aware of the green issues. But anyway, I put out a basket of chips, a small bowl of sour cream, or just a container, depending on how casual I'm going to be with all the students who come into my home. I either have black beans or pinto beans or refried beans. I have chopped up tomatoes, whatever you want to call them. I spice up the meat. I usually do ground turkey, sometimes ground beef, and sometimes I just saute chicken with onions and stir it around with some of the chili powder on it. I always have grated cheese, salsa. Salsa is green chilies and tomatoes and all sorts of stuff chopped up. And I always have avocados because they're so good for you. And I love to make guacamole. And then chopped onions. And so you just put all of this out in a bowl, and it's kind of a time to decorate your own particular brand of either tacos. A taco bowl would be if I just use the chips to crunch up and put everything on it, or I would make little tortillas, either white tortillas or corn tortillas, and put them in some foil and have them steaming hot when people come. And it's just really one of the greatest meals. Everybody loves it. It's a great birthday meal. But that is I have one of 3 or 4 big meals that I have for when people come to my house. I'll tell you the other ones. Probably already told you all of them next week. But anyway, before I go into my little story about clay and tea time, I wanted to read you the quote that I started out with on my quotations this week, or at the beginning of my article. This is Charles Dickens. And what you need to know about Dickens, I'll tell you more about him sometime because I'm going to mention another book of his. We read lots of Dickens, and then we listened to lots of Dickens. But Charles Dickens, people were asking me a few weeks ago what I was going to say about vocabulary. If you just read a little bit of Dickens out loud, or if you listen to Dickens on an audible tape, you will be astounded at the vocabulary of his books. But what it reflects is how many more words people had just that short time ago, a little bit over 100 years ago. The common language was so rich with adjectives and adverbs and colorful sentences, so that people could picture much more clearly in their imagination the stories that were happening, because they didn't just see it all depicted on a movie. They didn't just use their phone to shorten the message as much as possible. Words are a richness. Words create intelligence. Words create the connectors between different phrases in your brain, so that you become exponentially more intelligent by the amount of words that you hear. So, everyone, go out and get one of your favorite Dickens books on Audible or whatever the recording theme is that you use, and listen to one of Dickens' books. He grew up part of the time working as a poor boy to help pay debts for his family. Oliver Twist is one of the most famous books that has been turned into a movie many times. You can look for that movie, but Oliver Twist is a great book. But Oliver Twist was sort of a picture of his life as he grew up. He just grew up as a poor boy and yet still had this rich vocabulary. So Oliver Twist is a fun book, but the one I am recommending, if you don't read any other of his books, and I've read many of them, you need to read A Tale of Two Cities. It's an excellent book. It's a book to discuss. It's a book to curl up by the fire and eat a bowl of popcorn every night in winter and listen to it and be excited about it. I'm probably going to download it on my Audible. I walk all the time and listen to books that have been recorded, and it's such a wonderful book. But anyway, as I think about home and as I think about tea times and I think about my people, I loved what he said. Charles Dickens said, "When I speak of home, I speak of the place where, in default of a better, Those I love are gathered there together. And if that place were a gypsy's tent or a barn, I should call it by the same good name notwithstanding. And the point he was making is, when he speaks of home, he speaks of it with such warmth and greatness that he said, whether it's a gypsy's tent or a barn, it is precious to me because those I love are gathered there. And you know what? Your children don't need House Beautiful, your husband. What they need is to belong, is to have those traditions, that beauty, that kindness toward one another, that we belong to each other feeling. And I love that that's what Dickens pretty much called home. Well, now I'm going to read to you from the beginning of October in Life Giving Home. And the name of the chapter is Serving Life Within Your Walls. And this is a quote by Winston Churchill. We shape our dwellings, and afterwards our dwellings shape us. Isn't that beautiful? Chill air swept into the room, and candles flickered as Clay walked through the front door. I had already lit candles because he had texted me that he was coming home. Oh, winter is on its way, he announced as he took off his coat and plopped wearily on the couch. Having just brewed a pot of tea, I got an extra mug out of the cabinet and invited him to sit with me for a few minutes before dinner. Tell me about your day. How did your meetings go when you shared the ministry plan with your small group? Clay really is the unsung hero behind our ministry. Writing books to inspire parents to raise godly children is his strong calling, the legacy he would most like to leave to people. Words, like the book we just wrote, Giving Your Words. But Clay also runs our publishing operations, organizes the contracts for our conferences, keeps our office secretary and accountant going, manages all of our web operations, keeps on top of taxes, organizes the books coming and going in and out of our office that people order. Well, you get the picture. And you probably can also understand how weary Clay gets at times, how much he can use a listening ear. Admin and details is so much work for a small ministry when you don't have enough staff. For most of the next hour, and it was unusual to have an hour, Clay unburdened himself to me. He shared his thoughts, his dreams, his frustrations. He wondered out loud about the future of our ministry, and he talked of the exhaustion that he often felt. And that gave me the opportunity, the perfect chance, to encourage him, to remind him gently of the ways that God had provided for us all these years. And it gave me the chance to speak forward into his own future by expressing my confidence in the fruit of his hard work and what it would bring. I hoped my words would bring just the grace my husband needed as he munched on a warm cookie from the oven and finished a second cup of tea. To me, my friends, as I'm reading this, and it expresses so much of what I hope to build a movement of tea times with people. That's home at its best, serving, loving, encouraging within the safe walls that contain the secrets, the fears, the dreams, the life work, and the love that knit our hearts together because we took time to be friends and to listen. October is that wonderful season. I love October's. Oh, it has been so gorgeous here, and it's going to be over so quickly. All the leaves, the crisp blowing of the leaves in the air, and they're everywhere. They're gorgeous. October is that wonderful season when leaves have turned golden and red, and cool breezes lend a crispness to the air. I even had to wear my coat today. It creates a perfect environment to simmer savory soup or taco train, to curl up in front of the fireplace with a mug of spicy cider for an evening read. Feasting comes to mind when I remember the ways we lean into chilly nights and warm firesides and eat. But I also find myself contemplating and cherishing what it means to serve. I am the conductor of the beauty in my home, to prepare a feast for the table as a way of opening hearts, and to make my home a place of comfort and refuge and beauty. That's my wish, is that in the midst of all that you already do, that you would know that the making of your own home into this place where friendships are formed, hearts are heard, love is given, forgiveness is granted. You really are making that an amazing place for friendships to grow. And all it takes is a simple 10-minute cup of tea and a sense that people who are around you are loved. All right, my friends, I'm going to keep going. I want to tell you about a really fun event this week. I don't know about you, but because a lot of what I do is initiating to other people, I just love it when little surprises come up. Sometimes you've known about my adventures with my friend Jackie, who visits me from London. But this week, I had a fun time with a friend who is in my Bible study, hearing her whole story that I'd never heard. She's been in my Bible study for 2 years, and I got to hear about her adventures and what all she had done with her life. But then, two of my friends, one from Paris and one from northern UK, were going on a small little driving trip together, and they surprised me. And they showed up at my house, and they they grabbed me away, and we went to the Cotswolds. The Cotswolds is the area near here that is kind of famous because it has these beautiful kind of beige brick. They're cut from the stone of the hills all around, and these darling, charming towns all the way through the Cotswolds. It's interesting. I was looking up what does Cotswolds mean, and basically it means the hills where there are a lot of sheep. Isn't that interesting? I never knew that before. And so we had so much fun. We went to a little cafe, had pastry and coffee together, and then they brought me back home. But all of these little towns have bookstores, antique shops, bakeries. They're kind of a dreamy place to find small, wonderful things. And so anyway, we had fun doing that. That was a surprise in my week. And again, I had so much fun with my Bible studies. My Bible studies keep growing. If you are somewhere in the Oxford area and you want to come to one of my Bible studies at Pusey House, please let me know. We're having a wonderful time together, a Monday night one and a Thursday night one. But anyway, I've been touched again, as I mentioned earlier, that women need women. Women need fellowship. Women need to be around other great women. Women need to be around women who are more mature than them, and around some women that they can encourage who are younger than them. Women need the oxygen of friendship and love. All right. So I wanted to talk about, since we're talking about home fires, and sometimes you just need a little bit of encouragement because you do the same things over and over again. You need a little bit of freshness in your week, or maybe you just had 1,000 babies and you can barely get through. But I've even noticed as I'm watching Sarah, her children know what to expect most of the days. They have a real regular bedtime routine. They have a real regular morning routine. They have breakfast, and they have a sweet devotional and talk about it together. And these children are just so loving of the security they have because they have built routines over time. So I thought I probably should mention some of the routines. And of course, some of these for me are when my children were older. But I did it when they were younger. I bought a double stroller, And I would walk in the evenings, either before dark or after dinner, depending on if it was summer or not. And we would walk at least a couple of blocks around the block. Sometimes we'd hop in the car. You've seen pictures of us in our mountain near our little lake that we walk around. It's national forest near us. And so we walking together is a really fun thing. Eating meals together at night is something that they say is one of the happiest friend building rhythms that you can possibly do with your children. Providing a space in your home to honor the personalities. If you have an introvert might need a really cozy, cuddly up place where they're not bothered all the time by one of their other siblings. Or an extrovert might need for you to make those focused little tea times. You can call a tea time anything that creates a 5 or 10 minute, let's sit together and talk. I just found that my extroverts wanted to tell me all sorts of things they'd been doing, thinking, and being. And so that served me well. I think that bedtime routines were probably some of the best things that we ever did, because we would give them baths, they would play forever, and then we would read some kind of a little short story many nights, and then everybody would run and grab in bed. Some would get their blankies, and we would kiss them, pray blessing on them, and say, oh, let's tuck the day away in a wonderful way. And you have to know that it wasn't always easy, and our children weren't perfect, and sometimes they would wake up. But anyway, I think these kind of rhythms really help. And so I thought it might be fun just to talk about the fact that if you have a group of women and you want to grow in encouragement, you want their ideas, you want to be more relevant, do a once a month at your house, have people share treats, or just have a cup of coffee or tea or whatever you have, and read through a book together. A book like The Life-Giving Home. Just read it out loud, a little bit by little bit. Life-Giving Table, Mission of Motherhood, Desperate. A lot of women are feeling desperate already this time of year. Ministry of Motherhood, Seasons of a Mother's Heart. And I think I'm going to begin going through some of that on the Monday podcasts in the days ahead. But anyway, my friends, I just wanted to spend this time with you and tell you some of my favorite things. But I didn't tell you one of the best, funniest things this week. So my friend from Paris came to me, and she always gives me these books and gifts. She's just such a lovely woman. But she gave me this little box of tea, and it's basically Maison. This Maison was founded in 1854, and it says it's superior quality China from Ceylon. And it was this box of tea that she brought me all the way from France, and it's called Mariage. Mariage, I'm guessing. I have no idea. Anyway, so I thought, I'm going to have a little cup of tea from one of the tea bags that she gave me in this darling little box. Well, guess what? It's blue. It's blue tea. It was so much fun. It was this real fragrant, light, delicate cup of tea. And so we got out our trusty computers, our phones actually, and we read about it. And the reason it's blue, and that's what's in my picture today, is because they crush up cornflowers. Those beautiful blue cornflowers are something that are collected and placed in this tea. And so we had ourselves yesterday a blue cup of tea, and it was quite delightful. Now, last week I neglected to tell you another one of my favorite new teas, and it is called Tea Pigs. And don't ask me why. I have no idea why the company named it Tea Pigs. I'm sure there must be something easy that I could have looked up, but I forgot to. But I was somewhere recently, and I'd had too much caffeine that day, so I thought, okay, I'll try an herbal tea, because I've tried a million herbal teas, and sometimes I like them, sometimes I don't. But this is a super fruit tea, made with lots of berries. I'm a berry girl. And I really liked the Tea Pig Superfruit Tea. So that's a new tea that I have been drinking. And then I wanted to tell you, because I've been getting letters about it. I've told you all before that my son Joel has created lots of music, and one of my favorite recordings playlists that I love, because it's very gentle and it's very fun, is called Music for the Life-Giving Home, and it's a whole lot of melodies that he wrote to go along with the seasons, the days, the nights, to play at your dinner time, to play when you're washing dishes in the kitchen. But it's called Melodies for the Life-Giving Home by Joel, Joel Clarkson. So then, that is my music for the week. But anyway, I just hope that each of you are bearing well with the pressures, the challenges, the difficulties. But oh, if I could have you here to sit with me over a cup of tea and candlelight. I have no fireplace to offer here. And put on music, and just to spend time looking into one another's eyes and saying, tell me where you are in your story. Tell me about yourself. What are you going through? And that's how I'm making the sweetest friends in the world here. I have precious new women in my Bible study, and little by little, we're getting together individually. In a group, we're getting closer together. And I can just feel the strength, the encouragement, the emotional affirmation that is developing, because all of us are making time together. And that makes me thrilled, makes Clay thrilled, that we are having this opportunity together and to reflect and to strengthen and to love one another well as we go back out into the world. So let me pray for you. Dear Heavenly Father, you created us to be relational creatures. You created us to have people who knew us, encouraged us, understood us, sympathized with us, strengthened us, modeled for us, had sympathy for our failures. Lord, I pray that not only will my precious friends find this podcast to be that for them, but I pray if you would allow some of them to start a group, to start just a time with one friend, to start a time with their teenage daughters, or their teenage daughters and their friends, or one neighbor, Lord, whatever, that your Holy Spirit would bring to their mind someone who could benefit from a one-on-one, eyeball-to-eyeball relationship. And maybe it would even be a husband or a young adult child. I just pray that you would bless these precious ones with opportunities and ways of extending their love and hospitality to people who long to have the touch of friendship. Bless me, Lord, to have strength to do this, and bless my dear friends this week. Give them all that they need as they move closer and closer to you. Thank you that you are with us every day. We love you, and we pray in Jesus' name, amen. All right, my sweet friends, have a wonderful week, and go enjoy a cup of something warm and wonderful with someone you love. Bye-bye. I hope you've enjoyed our time together today and that you'll join me next week. Be sure to look for more inspiration on my blog at sallyclarkson.com. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.